comes to packaging. She's the vice president of the World Packaging Organization. She has her own packaging company in Lebanon, which started as a program for UNIDO, and now she's all over the place. And she's worked in so many countries, and I know that she's very supportive. We believe a lot in packaging. We've seen entrepreneurs who have very good quality products which fail when it comes to packaging. And packaging is, and Ms. Suha can correct me if I'm wrong on this, and then she will present that, is that you need to look into the customer behavior and things, and each market has its own packaging. What you could see very nice in Lebanon or in the US could not look very fancy and nice in other parts of the world. So I will not take too much time. I will leave the floor now to Ms. Suha, who has a presentation of 15 minutes or so. If you have any questions for Ms. Suha, please put them on the chat room. And then by the end of the session, we will be addressing these questions to Ms. Suha. Same case for Mr. Abdulrahman. Suha, the floor is all yours. You can go ahead.
Thank you, Afif, for the introduction. I'm very happy to be with you guys. And really, Corona and the COVID-19 has changed our life. But I'm happy to see that we are coping with this. We are resilient, and we are making conferences and webinars really on daily basis on packaging and marketing and everything. So today I have been told that I have 10 to 15 minutes. That's why I have chosen to tackle the marketing aspect of packaging, because as we know, packaging has a lot of aspects. The most important aspect of packaging is the functional role. First of all, we need to make sure that our packaging is protecting the product from the environmental factors, from the migration and anything else. We have a legal also aspect to make sure that it's compliance with the regulations and the sustainability aspect. But today I will focus on the marketing aspect, as Afif said. So when it comes to packaging, the packaging really has to sell your product. When we go to the supermarket, we don't have a lot of time, especially now, and now we are also buying digital. We're gonna come to this. So your packaging has to sell the product. It should be attractive to the consumers on the shelf. Your packaging should be the ambassador, your brand ambassador. And that's why it's very important to study the aspect of the brand, and so they will be reflected in your packaging design. So when you go to Libon Pack or any other packaging agency or branding agency, you have a role that the packaging should play. First of all, your packaging should be eye-catching, especially when we are talking about a brand when there is no brand loyalty. When there's a brand loyalty, I know I'm gonna pick this product because I like it, because I know it. When there's no brand loyalty, the packaging should be an eye-catching. Then for sure it should maintain the brand recognition. Even if I know the brand, that's why we have a lot of examples when brand owner changed their packaging design. Sometimes it was a failure and sometimes it was successful because it should maintain the brand recognition. You should communicate your brand values or your brand experience and the history in your package, because your packaging is really like a silent salesman. There's no one talking about your product. So your packaging is really the passport of your product. And it should differentiate you from the competitor. And this is one of the slogans of Libon Pack. We say packaging makes the difference. So your product should stand out on the shelves. When it's come to packaging design, as Afif said, the most important thing is the market research. We cannot do a packaging. Really, many people come to me, especially in the Arab world, without making a proper market research. By market research, I mean which market I'm targeting, which consumer I'm targeting, because in different countries, we have different values, different trends. Even in the same country, we have different segments. I'm targeting kids, family, liberal women, seniors. So all of this should be identified at the beginning. I cannot start working on packaging before knowing these issues, before knowing your customer segmentation. Once I know this, I understand their needs, and then with the packaging design, I try to respond to these needs. What happened? Okay. So how I respond with the needs, I'm giving you an example. First of all, with the ergonomic shape. When we talk about packaging, we have the structural design, and then we have the visual design. So how I hold, how I grab the package. Based on the customer segment, I choose the colors. Some colors are welcomed in some country, and some colors are despised in some country. The typography, the way I write علم الخط, as we say in Arabic. The material also, if I'm going to use glass, paper, plastic, the illustration, and the information that are displayed on the packaging. So these are the element of the packaging design that I have to use them to respond to the segment that I'm trying to reach. And for sure, the brand owners, they need to keep on using innovations to keep on responding to consumer needs, because we are living in a dynamic age. Now, for example, we are living in the Corona age. So we have, as brand owners, to use our packaging to be innovative as much as possible. So first of all, I start with market segmentation. I need to know which is the target customer and study it well. Here are some variables for the market segmentation. I'm talking inside the same country. The age is very important, the gender, the marital status, the income, because really it's very important when you look at the package, it should give you a communication if it's a high-end product or a mass product before I look to the price. So these issues, the nationality, the education, all of this, I should take them into consideration before starting to design the package. An example of consumer needs, convenient. My packaging should be convenient. I should be satisfied when I open the package or I close it. I should not be frustrated when I open it and close it. Here is an example how brand owners should respond, for example, to the senior people who really don't have a lot of strength in opening the package. So I improve the opening by adding some element on the package to make it really more convenient. I can add a peel corner. There's a lot of examples as seen in this slide. Another important segmentation is the gender aspect. Am I targeting women or men? And until now, I believe in equality, but not in everything. But when it comes to marketing, what is appealing to a man is different to what is appealing to a woman. So this should also be taken into consideration in the packaging design. For example, this is a cosmetic launched recently by Clarins. We cannot use the same color and the same shape to attract men. So here you can see different in color. Another example for Advil, they recently are selling this small size of Advil of 2 pills in a small pouch where I use it personally because I have a lot of headache. So instead of really carrying the full package, they innovate this nice package. An example that I really liked is the Evian. Here we're talking about water. I don't know, sorry, what happened with my... Oh, sorry, I need to... Sorry, Afif, I don't know what happened with my...
No, so if you want, reshare the screen.
لا لا يلا مش الحال. Okay, now it's fine.
I'm waiting on the technical people to, okay, now it's
Sorry guys.
working now.
Yeah. So an example that I really like is the Evian water. Here we're talking the same product, water, okay? So here you can see by using different packaging design component, I'm responding to different consumer needs. The first one, we are using glass. Glass is automatically give the water or the beverage a premium look. a high-end look. And that's why we don't consume in our house this bottle. Usually we consume it in hotels or restaurants. The second one is the regular one that we use it and consume it. The third one is the sporty Evian bottle of water, where the ergonomic shape is used to highlight the segment of the sportive people. And the last one, you can see the shape and the illustration where we are using Disney character to attract kids. So here is an example how the brand owners are expanding their market share to different segments of the society simply by using different packaging components. So I still have how much time, Afif?
Take your time, Suha. And I see great presentation, valuable speech. I loved your presentation. You can go ahead. People are liking it, so you can go ahead.
Great. By the way, the electricity went out in our country, as you can see, but thank God I put the UPS, so I will not be disconnected. So I cannot talk about packaging without telling you what happened, without telling you what are the trends for packaging recently. And now I will receive many questions and they will tell me, so how these are conflicting trends. And yes, they are conflicting trends, but this is the world that we are living. The most important trend is the on the go or the snacks. See, you can see this egg, it's egg on the go. I shake it and then the egg is boiled. Or the kiri or the snacks. So the snack is really a lot of, it's trendy. And why? Because unfortunately, we are living in a very rapid world. We don't have time to sit and have breakfast as before, labne with za'atar. We don't have time for this, unfortunately. So everything should be consumed on the go. The second most important trend is sustainability. By sustainability is to have a green packaging. Consumers are very well aware now about the climate change, about protecting the environment. And in some countries, especially Europe and the States and even Latin America, it has been proven that consumers are ready to pay more. Can you imagine consumers are ready to pay more if they know that this package is more sustainable and is more eco-friendly? Even we are seeing recent trend of boycotting certain owners, brand owners who are not respecting the environment. So this trend is really number one, the sustainability trends, and brand owners are really urged to invest more and more in sustainable packaging. The other trends are convenience, and I showed you example of convenience. Most importantly, I should open the package and close it in a very convenient way. I should store it well in the fridge or in the cupboard. So convenience is very important when it comes to structural packaging. E-commerce. E-commerce, your packaging now more and more, even in Lebanon after Corona, now I'm rarely going to the supermarket. I'm buying all my groceries on totters. And in the States, they are buying on Amazon Go. I'm sure in the Gulf countries, this trend is also increasing. So the packaging also should be designed in a way to be sold on a digital platform. Also, your packaging should be digital packaging. I don't know now if you have this trend in Bahrain, but here now, whenever I go to a restaurant after the lockdown, we scan the code to see the menu. So the same on your packaging should be connected. I should be able to scan it with my phone, and that will take me automatically to the website to read more about the product. So your packaging should be connected with the consumer, and also it should reflect the healthy lifestyle. And here I'm not talking about misleading the consumer, but through using earth colors or the illustration. For example, when it comes to juices, especially when we are talking about fresh orange juice, it's always advisable to put a real picture of an orange juice where the consumer will feel that I'm drinking fresh orange juice. Last but not least, fashion and design. And this is also a trend. People like to see nice and beautiful things. Even when it comes to a bottle, why we always go to an iPhone or not Samsung? I'm not doing advertisement, but because people like nice designed items. It also comes to packaging design, especially when we talk about the cosmetic industry and perfumes. Since we are living in the impact of COVID-19, the three main also trends that they are being affected by COVID-19 is the sustainability, number one, because people in their back of their mind, they think that we are to be blamed as consumers because we didn't take care about our planet and all of this. So the trend for sustainability is now number one. People will look to the packaging material to make sure it is recyclable, to make use that sometimes you can reuse your package. Now more and more we can see in coffee shops where people are taking their reusable mug or reusable jar to put products. So sustainability is now really a lot of an important trend after COVID-19. And what is we are all concerned is about hygiene. All of us now, when we buy things from the grocery, we are putting a lot of sanitizer and disinfectant, and we're becoming paranoid with this. So brand owners are advised to invest in a kind of packaging material where you can peel it, or you can really make sure comfortable the client that I will not catch any virus or bacteria from the packaging material. And last but not least, the thing that I have talked about is the digital shopping in mind, especially after COVID and the lockdown. Many people are buying online. So this is an example about the sustainable packaging. I can show you here how many brand owners, Nestle, McDonald's, even P&G, the number one for them concern is to be sustainable. You can see here, and this is really a good example, the Sun Chips, which is a very important brand. You can see that they are putting 100% compostable chip package even before their brand name. So this is an example how it's important for the consumer that they are putting it even above their brand name. And the issue of the reuse, consumers are really concerned about the impact of the waste. So that's why they prefer to buy things that they can reuse it. Regarding the e-commerce, especially for toys and all of this, people hate to open toys box in a box in a box, so they want simple things. They want craft color things. So this is an example how to design it and to be well displayed on the website. This is on the right, the Tide soaps for the washing clothes. This is, by the way, it won award star from the WPO for the sustainability packaging, where they reduced the packaging plastic material and they converted into cardboard, and it's also very convenient for the consumer. Another example of the connected packaging that I have talked about. The convenient packaging here, I'm showing you packages that really took an award because they were very effective and convenient for the consumer. Here an example when I tell you healthy lifestyle. For example, these bars and this orange juice, when you look at them, automatically, it will send a message to our brain that we are consuming a healthy product. By simplicity. On dit en français, la simplicité fait la beauté. Here, really, for the bars, they are only putting in a very nice typographic element the list of ingredients. But this packaging design is giving this connotation that this is a healthy product. Last but not least, and I'm also a fan of collecting limited edition packaging, the Nutella, the Coca-Cola, from time to time, and also to engage with the consumer, they launch limited edition packaging around the world where people like to buy them. So to conclude with my presentation, the most important things is in marketing and packaging is consumer needs. Without studying consumer needs and also the trends, because we are living in a world that is changing, we cannot design a package that is well reflecting these needs. And I have really this problem with many clients that they come to me and I ask him about the brief, I ask him about the market segment, they don't know. So that's why now I'm doing a lot of marketing coaching to coach them to put this marketing strategy, because without a marketing strategy, we cannot have a shelf appeal impact on the shelf. Thank you so much. And I hope that my presentation was interesting to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Suha. Please don't leave us. I have questions from the floor that I'll be addressing to you. One thing, and which caught my eye, and I think maybe you can just a little bit elaborate on the example of the bottles, the Evian bottles. Even the size changes from the commercial one, the restaurant one, and the kids one. Sure. You know, I believe the kids one is a little bit smaller in size, and kids will not be able to drink a lot. The restaurant one, more or less, is medium in size, so that you can order more and buy more. And you know, can you please, if you want to elaborate on that, you can do that.
Yeah. Let me go to this slide if you want, so we can talk about it more, because really this slide, I also like it. Regarding the first one, okay, the glass packaging. Here, there's two aspects has been taken into consideration. First of all, the glass is more expensive, so it will give it a high-end look. Second, the size. It's rarely that you go to a restaurant solo, unless really we are very lonely. And now after COVID, maybe it will happen. I don't know, with the social distancing, maybe it's gonna happen. But in regular time, when you go to a restaurant or you go with people, so you need a big bottle to serve 2 or 3 people as a minimum. So size for sure is taken into consideration. So this is for the premium bottle. The second one is the regular one, and this is for human consumption, for single use and per one person. And you can also see the caps is different. Huh? The caps, you can see the difference in the color and the difference in the mechanism. The first one is metal to suit the look of the bottle. The second one is plastic and the same color of the mountain of the Evian and the plastic color in the second one, which is really the regular one. The sporty one is a more sophisticated caps and it's more expensive, okay? Because this one, you can open it in one hand, unlike the second one, and you can suck it. Yani, while you are running or doing your sports, you can drink it more in a nice way. The third one, the fourth one is for kids. And you can see even the label technique. The first one, by the way, it's engraved in glass. It's very expensive to print directly or to engrave on glass. The other one are simple label around the bottle. And the fourth one for the kids, we call it shrink labeling. Shrink, it will, as if you are, it's really very tight on the product, and it will give a lot of a good impact for color and to be catchy. Usually we use the shrink to make it more appealing. So yes, many aspects are really designed in these 4 examples to catch different market segment. There's one also now recently launched by Evian for women and for the breast campaign, cancer campaign. They were always also putting and encouraging women to do the checkup for the cancer. So here is an example how brand owners are being engaged with their client with different packaging design.
Thank you, Suha. So I have a few questions before we end it and then move to Abdurrahman. There is a question on, you know, how did the COVID-19 affect the market of packaging, and I think you addressed that.
Yes.
I have a question from Turkey. Most of the people say you should invest on packaging later, because first you need to earn money, then you can prevent your brand or develop your brand. Do you agree on this or not?
ما فهمت السؤال. I didn't get it.
The thing is that, most entrepreneurs get this advice: don't invest in the packaging now, establish the business, sell the products, then later on you invest more money in the brand. Do you agree with this, or it's something you have to do from day one?
I don't agree with this, because packaging, it really does not come at the end of the cycle. Packaging is really who will make it or break your product. Because on the shelf, when you are displaying, especially a new product, I don't know anything about this olive oil, for example. Who will trigger me to buy it is the package. If it's not really well designed, and when I talk about design, I don't mean high budget. And this is the perception in people's mind. I showed you different packaging material. Okay, the glass is the most expensive. We can do plastic or corrugated or paper with a nice design. When we talk about design, it doesn't mean a lot of budget, but no, with product, especially when you're launching the product in the supermarket or online, it's a passport, it's your identity. So for sure you have to invest in it. And as you invest in the quality of the product, you have to invest in the package, because this is the trigger, this is your brand ambassador.
So I have a question that falls in line with what you said. How much does the package affect the sales? Does it increase the sales?
There's a study who is made that, especially for a new product, okay, not for Coca-Cola or Dior or all these products, for a new launch product, packaging affects the sale by 75%.
Wow.
75%. And by the way, it's mentioned in the second slide. So when I'm talking about new product, okay? So you are in the duty-free traveling, you see a nice perfume, you see a nice cream. What is triggering you is the package, the color, everything, especially for cereals as well. Last time I was in a supermarket, they were launching a new cereals, especially us now in Lebanon, we are avoiding imported product because the price of the dollar. So I was looking, oh, this is a new Lebanese brand, let me try it. It was different design, different illustration. So for sure.
So I can tell you, you're receiving so much praise and amazement and beautiful and, on all terms. Your presentation was very well received. But I have a very interesting question here, which is, you're talking about physical products. Yes. What about packaging services? We have a question from Rwanda saying, how can you package services which are not tangible?
Okay, for sure, packaging is for tangible product. But when you talk about services, you talk about branding and marketing, which is really related. But when I talk about packaging, colors and design and all of this, it's for physical product. But for services, when I talk, for example, about banks, especially now in Lebanon, we are very happy with our banks. Mahek Afif. I hope that
I rest my case on this issue.
I hope that your saving is not in Lebanon. So anyway, so when we talk about banks recently are using packaging to sell the new product, new services before. I'm not talking now with the crisis, in a nice brand identity, nice colors, nice envelope. To mislead the consumer and to put their saving in Lebanon. So yes, even services is affected by branding, not packaging, branding. And I can assure to you many aspects that I have talked about is affected by branding. When you go to, let me give you an example of services, because unfortunately I have used it 2 weeks ago. The CMC hospitals in Lebanon and the AUH. This is a service, the medical.
That's the American University Hospital. It's one of the leading hospitals in Lebanon. Yes, go ahead.
Yes. And you go to the CMC, which is the Johns Hopkins, also another relatively new hospital. The use of color, the use of the design, the use of the environment is different. It makes you feel that you are in a high-end medical facility. So I cannot say packaging, I can say branding, okay? So branding is very important for services a lot. Branding and design is a diagonal things for product and services.
Soha, and I want to thank you once again. One thing, a question that we're getting is that if you can share your presentation with the participants. So if you don't mind emailing it to me, and then we will share it with all the participants, it'll be an added value to everyone. When it comes to continuing on what Soha was saying, when it comes to service, packaging, branding, I believe this falls in line with what we call franchising, where you develop the full package that includes the package of the product, the branding of the product, the marketing, which takes me to what Abdurrahman will be addressing, my colleague from ITPO Bahrain. Abdurrahman is an expert in marketing, and he's been working with UNIDO ITPO Bahrain. He's a very close friend and a colleague. He has more than 15 years of experience. He studied in DePaul in Chicago. He studied in Ireland. So he will be continuing the discussion from what Sue has started with packaging and branding, taking us into franchising. Abdurrahman, the floor is yours. You have 10, 15 minutes, and then please go ahead. Thank you, Soha, Maratheni.
Walau ahlan, my pleasure.
It's my pleasure to be with you all today, certainly with Mr. Afif and alongside Ms. Sa. I really enjoyed your presentation. I'm actually very passionate about branding and packaging, and you touched upon key points or key terms that I really like, which includes building an impression, creating loyalty, brand positioning. These are all words we work and live by here. And what I plan to do is to touch upon a few points regarding franchising. It is a technical subject. I stayed away from a presentation or any particular methodology, simply because franchising is quite fluid. It's a natural growth avenue for businesses once they reach a certain stage. It's a encouraged avenue that we incentivize our entrepreneurs to explore. And generally, it's a business model. It's a business model that we consider a growth business model, a natural step forward towards increasing your sales ability, your access to both local and international markets. To just touch on a few points, packaging is definitely one of the critical components of franchising. Normally, we try to steer clear from boring our audience with literature, but we do have what's considered a franchise toolkit. This is delivered to entrepreneurs, to policymakers, to others who are in this industry, who wish to learn more about the technical aspects on becoming a franchisor. Just to give you a premise, the reason we incentivize and push the franchising as a suitable avenue for business and business growth is particularly due to our current circumstances. Many of the developing countries, the region, have their fair experience, even as a consumer, with dealing with global franchisors, buying from franchisees who are their local counterparts, and understand a lot more about branding, packaging, due to our own consumer behavior, but also due to the experts such as yourself, Ms. Today, SMEs, or we call them MSMEs, micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, are better geared for global growth, and by placing themselves through the vehicle of franchising, they're able to secure that growth. Just touching on the point of franchising, it is actually an entire business model. In other words, franchising allows you to export your brand rather than just export your products. You export your brand and position it on global markets. Now, one of the key components of doing that, which I do want to talk about today, and which Ms. Suha touched upon perfectly, is creating that brand and securing loyalty overseas. Now, branding is very much your identity. It's what provides your value proposition to overseas markets. It's how you're perceived, and of course, it would incentivize purchasing products related to that brand. What we do notice is that, as let's say, on a regional standpoint, is the importance of positioning your brand overseas by utilizing social media. Now, you'll notice that a lot of companies today, whether they're SMEs, virtual or otherwise, do have their fair share of proactivity online. It is almost now a given for most businesses to be on things like Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and the next vehicle that comes by. But what we want to focus on is delivering value and creating value associated with those brands. So, for example, for me to create global appeal, I'll need to have my global consumers in mind. I'll need to understand a little bit about consumer behavior. I'll need to understand what colors, what fonts, and what vehicles I'll be using to deliver my message. Packaging is certainly one of the vehicles to delivering that message. Now, again, going back, we do have a franchise toolkit, and it touches upon branding as a core component alongside operations, delegation, franchising management, and more than that, contractual obligations on securing franchisees. The reason for this fluidity is, by nature, these contracts change on a time basis, location basis, product basis, and more. Generally speaking, franchising follows industry norms and methods, which include royalty-based programs and franchising fee contract payments. So on the offset, and this does not necessarily apply to all franchisers, but there is a franchising fee that you pay to guarantee securing the franchisor's brand, products, and strengths, and paying the franchisor yearly or bi-monthly or whatever it is, royalties. Today, SMEs are able to become franchisors and create their own brands using much of the experience and the expertise provided in the region to create brands that can secure global markets. Apart from that, I can show you some of the tangible results that we get by delivering the franchise toolkit. You'll see with me here just an example for one of our entrepreneurs. His name is Ahmed Sharaf. He creates or manufactures natural pet food. Yeah, natural pet food. And he's part of the entrepreneurship or franchise entrepreneurship program we have here at UNIDO. Through the literature and guidance provided through our counseling, you'll see that these are carefully branded companies, locally made, something many entrepreneurs can pursue today, and we encourage them to do so. Talking about the company, but more so about their value proposition, what their offering is, and how they wish to secure international business. Are they planning to sell it wholesale through distributors? Are they planning to create a retail model and have a franchisee work with them on a case-by-case basis? Now, I'm sorry this may not be clear here, but I'll read it out for you. Franchise program includes, in this case, his brand name, his ERP system, site selection guidance, construction guidance, management, and so forth, even going to quality assurance. The fluidity in this is basically what you agree with the franchisee, you being a franchisor, and the contracts that you're going to develop for them to extend your brand overseas. They will act as ambassadors. you will need to work closely with them and adapt your business model to ensure that these new appointed franchisees carry your message, carry your brand, and deliver in the areas you could not in these new regions. I think I've touched on these areas. Afif, if you have your comments and questions, I'd be happy to receive. I think maybe Afif left the desk or something, but I can expand on the franchise toolkit at the sake of perhaps getting too technical on you. I'm very passionate about it, so I can do that. One of the key components about delivering franchise manual or delivering franchising value. So let's say you're an entrepreneur and you want to pursue franchising and deliver on your franchising value, is literature. This was a sample of literature. In the franchising world, we call it operational manuals or franchising manuals. These manuals are very, very extensive. They are basically your knowledge transfer process. So this particular component, this could be one manual on how to set up your branch. As an entrepreneur who's interested in franchising, they would compose manuals such as this. A manual on site selection, on quality, on processes. Now, these manuals have market costs. Just to give you an example, a branding manual in Bahrain would cost you about $10,000, let's say. For an entrepreneur to deliver such manuals, they would literally be providing franchisees with value, tangible cost value. When you create that kind of summary or that kind of manual to the entrepreneur, he will by nature mimic it to arrive at the same success you have. So in essence, you're telling entrepreneurs, this is how I've done it. This is how it's successful. These are my demands of a franchisee. And this is the conditions for you to go ahead with delivering in that region. Much of this can be seen already with the international brands. You'll see them with the brands we know. I'll give you some familiar ones. I like Evian. I talk about Evian a lot. Maybe other familiar ones are McDonald's or KFC or whatever we're familiar with. These companies, they're called principals or franchisors, would dictate the amount of branches you'd open on, the amount of staff you should hire, how your staff should behave, quality assurance, product controls, logistical matters, system matters. And if an entrepreneur can provide anything similar, it doesn't have to be the same, it doesn't have to be intimidating, but anything similar to these controls and governance measures, you'd be able to actually adapt your own business, and I've seen this happen, into a franchise and become a franchisor. We've seen many examples in Bahrain. We're working with brands like Dudur, Wingman, Winners, football clubs, whether it's food and beverage, natural pet food, flowers and events. Each business model would adapt in their own way to create some kind of exporting service or product. And that way they would essentially be able to franchise themselves overseas. I think I've touched on very technical components, and I'll leave the floor for questions or comments.
Yeah, Mr. Abdurrahman, we have questions here. I think Mr. Afif is will be coming soon.
Go ahead.
I just would like to raise the questions to you from the Q&A board, which participants has shared with. There is a question from Burkina Faso. Mariam Siliwen is asking, what kind of strategies you can bring to the rural woman when you have the strategies for the developed areas? What strategies you can advise to the rural areas? I mean, with the limited resources, financial resources. This is the question.
Excellent question, and I thank you for it. The reason I'm mentioning these developed brands and countries is because we try to pick up on the lessons learned. Generally speaking, for rural areas, we see that, of course, Ms. Suha has touched on packaging and branding. So I'll give you an example. We have an entrepreneur here in Bahrain who has very simple background, and he does lamb rib grilling. Yeah, lamb shanks, lamb ribs, so forth. He does grilling. And he was very discouraging of the idea, or very intimidated by the idea of franchising. He was successful in his butchery, his restaurant. So what we did was we packaged his sauce. We packaged his sauce in a way that can be sold through hypermarkets. We branded the sauce in a way that looks appealing, regional, and catering to the people's tastes, their customers. And we started approaching large international hypermarkets with the jar of sauce. Now, we do know that these international hypermarkets sell, obviously, all over the world, and they sell all different kinds of sauces. So he was quickly able to position himself to international markets and international customers from very simple business model. Now, I've also worked with what we call agri-businesses. A lot of the franchising program deals with agriculture, green entrepreneurs, and so forth. And we talk to them about the added value they can include in their tangible products, whether they're growing them, adding value to them, drying them, creating sauces, or so forth. This includes many of the different avenues of added value in production, freezing, freeze drying, making sauces, jams, increasing their shelf life, not getting them perishable. And of course, this would all link with packaging as well, with branding, and towards delivering your product to global markets. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, another one. If Mr. Hidayanti Muhammad is asking, he says that if you don't have much capital, what is the most important to introduce, whether advertising or branding or packaging, which I have to invest with my limited capital? What is the priority he's asking? She's asking, sorry.
That's a good question. Now, I do recall earlier we mentioned in this session, Ms. Suha mentioned that branding, packaging, and exporting or going towards international markets, these are all actually the same umbrella. When you brand yourself, it is your impression. So for example, for me, my impression to you today is my necktie, my words, what I'm saying, the content I'm providing. It doesn't mean you have to spend a lot of money. So for you to brand yourself is also you marketing yourself, and it's also you innovating. It's all the same umbrella. If you are providing products, they should be presentable. They should be relevant. They should be appealing. And you as a brand, your products are a brand, and your venue is a brand. You're marketing yourself. They are all interconnected. Now, I do want to get a little more specific on marketing, particularly with social media. We all know that it's for free. We all know that the potential, the sky is the limit. Beyond the sky, you can go and do anything with social media. However, you do need to have a plan when you do your social media or marketing campaigns. You do need to know a little bit about who you're approaching. We call it target market, and how to position yourself. What are you saying to them? How do you look like? Do you look artisanal? Do you look manufactured? Do you look like a farmer's market? Who are you approaching, and what are you saying are the key points behind using any form of marketing or brand?
Right. Another one from Lina Amir. I think she's from Iraq, but living in Spain. But I feel she's asking for the messaging, to present your message rather than packaging. What other vehicles which we can utilize to deliver your message, the product message, rather than packaging? She's asking.
Well, I like that question. I come from a marketing background. I work as a marketing expert here. My personal belief is that everything you do and everything you are is marketing and branding. Especially as an entrepreneur, you are the core of your business. And therefore, the way you speak, the way you talk, the way you dress, the way you present your products, where your products are located, all is a reflection of you as your creation. So I would say, be steadfast, be professional, and be meticulous in the way you present yourself and your brand.
Yeah, another one from Nigeria, Afobi from Nigeria, Lilian Afobi. She says that they have done the branding, but there is no improvement of the sales, even though the effort which has been made, but sales improvement is not happening. What could be the bias here? She's asking.
That's a valid question. Frankly, we do receive that question regularly. It is a common issue. I've tried to touch upon it earlier by mentioning that simply branding or saying I utilize social media is not enough if it is not effective and relevant to the target market. So perhaps you would see highly distinguished, very detailed, beautiful brands that may be misplaced, not relevant to that target market. And of course, vice versa, where the brand, the image requires tweaking, a little bit of an adjustment so that you would match more carefully with your target market. For example, if I'm going to market something, this is very general, something exclusive, unique and special, saying things like discounts, free, please come, closing down would not be appropriate messages. However, if you are selling something artisanal, it may not be in your favor to say something that shows that it's too expensive, that maybe it's overdone as a brand. All these things have to be gauged, evaluated based on what you want to say and to whom you want to say it to.
Right. Another, and which I can say last question. Zainab Mazhar from Morocco is asking, rather than franchise payment, franchise for the franchising, she's asking, does franchise company took a profit from the original company took a profit from the franchisee?
I'm sorry, I didn't ask your question. Are you saying profit comes to the franchisor or profit comes to the franchisee?
The one who took the franchising right from the main company upon getting the right, whether this main company get a percentage of the profit from the one who took the franchise.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, they do. And it is a very lucrative and interesting market that I would consider all entrepreneurs explore. We have a full program with it at UNIDO. People are becoming more aware about it with certain gaps in the market. What I can say is you should, as an entrepreneur, we should all definitely consider franchising as a goal, as an ambition. It is a business model for you to export your brand and get paid for it. So without going into too much detail, if you are a franchisor, which means you are the brand, you will be appointing franchisees and they will represent your brand. When that happens, the franchisor, the guy with the idea and his creation, would receive a franchising fee in the thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. The sky is the limit. It's just based on how they perceive value in your brand. So I urge everyone to explore how other brands are selling their names and their value propositions overseas. Another thing would be through the yearly, monthly royalties that you'd receive from the franchisees. So for example, once you appoint someone, you would tell them that I would like a certain amount of your profits, certain amount of your sales, and it would range industry by industry. I would like to say around 3 to 5%, but I don't want anyone holding me to it because it does range on the brand, on the sales being done, on the industry and so forth. Now, there are many other avenues of being profitable as a franchisor, offering training that happens yearly, bi-yearly, selling your marketing and branding merchandise like uniforms. You would see many franchisors even selling the entire concept as in an architectural concept and framework that you need to buy the chairs, the signboards, everything in your unit from me. So in essence, they become contractors and suppliers, even wholesalers. Now, there's no limit to how many franchisees you can appoint. So you can do this as much as you please, maintaining its success.
Right, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Abdurrahman and Ms. Soha. Mr. Afif, I hope you forgive me for breaking in. When I see the gap, I just feel the gap actually.
Thank you, it's appreciated.
Thank you, Sami, very much. But unfortunately, I got an international call from headquarters, which I had to answer. And
Right.
I know Abdurrahman can do it, Soha can do it, you can handle it, and all the team in ICYF. And allow me to thank Soha, Abdurrahman, and all the participants for their interaction. And I invite you for a small break. Sami will tell us how long. But after that, we'll be starting the first success story entrepreneurial testimonials from Uganda, from Bahrain, from Egypt. It's very interesting and really inspiring case studies that will add value to the entrepreneurs and their knowledge, their know-how, and then wishing you all the best. And then I pass it now to Sami to.
Yeah, we will have a 10-minute breaks. Then upon now is by 15:10 we will be starting the testimonials, inshallah. Hope to see you all there. And thank you very much again, Ms. Soha and Mr. Abdurrahman.